Hello and welcome to episode 52 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. It's just myself and Mark for tonight. So on tonight's show, we will be discussing the latest news around Celtic Football Club. We look back at the Celtic versus Real Betis. We'll do a match review and we look at player ratings. We look at today's 1-0 loss against Livingston. We will review the game and what went wrong for Ange at Livingston Stadium today. Is it the plastic pitch or was it simply that our squad and depth isn't good enough? Board updates as Celtic appoint Nicholson as a police replacement. When should Celtic expect to hear from the new acting CEO? Of course, we'll be taking some topics and questions from the live chat. Firstly, though, Mark will do a few shout-outs.
Very much, Paul. It's just to the usual guys, Richie, Timothy, Ben Malika, HEG as well. Seems like they got for scans and they get cancelled. And Bobby Sutherland. We're at 498 subs, Paul. We got to 498, the lowest one.
We must have pissed someone off.
Pissed somebody off, John Kennedy, that would probably John Kennedy. We're only a couple away from it. I mean, 500. That's really, we've been talking about it ourselves for a while. It'd be great just to be able to say we've got 500 subs. It really would. Just as usual, thanks very much for everybody that subs, listens in, joins in. With the links to all our stuff, we're going to be moving on to Twitch and no moving, but we'll also be streaming on Twitch and Facebook at the same time as we're doing it on here in a few weeks, probably. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And the links to everything, including my forum, that's all in the description box below. So if you enjoy what we're doing, please remember subscribe, hit the like button, and if you know how to, please leave a comment.
Celtic have appointed Chris Duffy as new company secretary following Michael Livingston's move to the acting CEO of Celtic Football Club. Myself and Mark will discuss this later on in the show. Celtic could be entering the transfer window again this week by looking at free agent ex-Premier League player and Irish international Robbie Brady. The 29-year-old is a free agent after leaving Burnley at the end of last season, and it would be a short-term deal to help Ange and Celtic players with squad numbers being so low at the club at the moment. Celtic under 21 player Luke O'Connor will be leaving Celtic again, and he has joined Queen's Park for the remainder of the season. Crew fans have been so impressed with Celtic loanee and young midfielder Scott Robson that fans were chanting sign him up at yesterday's match for Crew. That's it again, of course, for Celtic news at the moment. Before, Mark, we talk about the Real Betis game, just want to talk about Luke O'Connell. Like he's gone out and loaned out to what I spoke about, Mark saying he was frustrated about game time at Celtic and stuff like that, but what I saw of Zorro at the moment, what I've seen from our midfield in the likes of Turnbull and stuff like that, I'm really disappointed with letting Luke O'Connell go low.
Same way, Paul. I dare. Just the lad watching YouTube videos and that. I thought he had the potential to be a good player for us. And well, as you said, his agent was in. Was it the Irish press he was in talking about it, saying that he was disappointed that he hadn't been getting chances at Celtic. So, well, we've spoken about it before, Paul. That's another, for me, that's another kind of young, good player that we've let slip through the net.
It's a blow, Mark. It is a blow. Like
I was hoping that maybe when Ange came in, he would, do you know what I mean? Maybe say to him, look, you're not ready for the first team yet, but work with me in 6 months' time, you'll be ready to play for me in the first team.
mm-hmm.
You know, you'll get your odd maybe games like we're speaking about, like playing Wraith Rovers. You'd like to see a few youngsters getting a game. But I'm disappointed the way things have went for Luke O'Connell, definitely, Paul.
Before we talk about Real Betis, just I look back at the game and I was looking at some of the stats. Of course, Mark, the stats are good again under Ange, but it's realistically the result that matters.
I think for me, Paul, the best way to describe that again today, it was a Neil Lennon type performance.
Mm-hmm.
We've spoken about
No. We'll speak.
Can't pick through these defences.
We'll speak about Batiste.
Oh, no,
No. Because that's last. We move on. I just want to things we learned. What we can say about Ange in the Batiste game, Mark, is the team has come a long way. All right. Where there's improvements, Mark.
Sense, Paul.
Yeah, but in defence, Mark, really, really needs to improve massively. And I don't think David Turnbull and Rogic are the answer there for a high press. If you want to defend from the top, Mark, they're not going to do it for fire because they're too similar and they're not that type of player. And they can't do the press, Mark, if two of them are in there, can you?
I said to you as well, Paul, I don't think Turnbull and Rogic can play in the same team. For me, it's got to be either or. You know, our ideal midfield three would be we've said it, probably McCarthy, although he had a honker, terrible game today. But it would be McCarthy, McGregor, and either or Turnbull and Rogic. For me, that would be our three.
Mm-hmm.
The team's just it just looks awfully lightweight, Paul, when the two of them seem to be in the same team. As you say, they're just really, really similar types of players.
Mm-hmm. But look, there's positive there. Look, Real Betis, Mark, they're a strong team, like, and I think we saw that with their second half performance. Like they finished sixth in the La Liga, Mark, which is pretty impressive with the teams inside this part. Like we had 58% possession. We attempted 192 more passes than them. Winning 62% of duels between them. In the final third, we were in their box 19 more times than them. Ange's style, Mark, is so demanding, Mark, and that's what I think is that these players aren't fit enough to keep that going for a whole 90 minutes. We kind of go Kong Ho for the first half and come the second half, Mark. I don't know. Is this team tiring too fast because of fitness?
I don't know if it's tiring, Paul. I'm just for me, it's the concentration levels of the
Mm-hmm.
defence. I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
2-0 up away to a Spanish team and then eventually lose that game, just.
And even like
I mean, you're just saying.
quick reaction 2-0, Mark. Like it was two quick goals we got. Like, you know, we were up 2-0 in kind of in a matter of time. Like you could have rocked it, Real Betis. Like,
Jota had a good
yeah.
chance as well for us to. Jota, he had a good chance and it would have went to 3-0, I'm sure. But it was just, again, it just seems to be. Our defence is just. I know that, again, Carl Vickers is only just in the door. We're still trying to gel with defence and things like that. But just the other night against Betis, how many times was it they were caught with just a ball over the top,
Mm-hmm.
running into the Spanish players and that, running into space behind the defence.
That seems to be the big weakness, Mark, with Ange's system, Mark. In this, we seem to be getting caught out with this high ball, don't we?
Seems to be a kind of an easy kind of counter attack to the style of football we play. But I mean, even playing that, you still need to have somebody like a last man in defence. Even if you're playing like this high pressing game beater, you need to have somebody that's quick, like quick centre back that can get back to cover.
Mm-hmm.
The other night, I thought the two central defenders, I didn't think any of them really covered themselves in much glory the other night at all.
No, I felt the same way. I think, Mark, that was the real kind of weakness in that game, and it seems to be kind of the real weakness under Ange as well, Mark. I know we'll come to today's game, but just touching on that briefly, like our defence still looks weak, and you're going on about the Celtic being caught with the kind of ball through the middle and a high press. Welch was kind of caught for pace again for that Livingston goal today. You know, so we don't have that type of defender, Mark, who's kind of quick on the feet, are we?
I thought, well, see, we're going to speak about. I thought that was a bit of schoolboy error for
Mm-hmm.
young Welsh today. Which, to be fair to him, he's done well. I mean, we've praised him. Praised him to the hilt every week on here so far, Paul. And we've said it before as well. These young players are going to make mistakes, but I mean that was a really bad mistake from the day. Just
Mm-hmm. Especially with, going by the.
we'll speak about Livingston game later on if you try to go into the Betis
Mm-hmm.
game.
No, the stats from the other night were Betis has 17 shots to Celtic 16. on target at 8-7. They had 40% possession mark. We had 60 passes. They had 355. We had 532. Pass accuracy is 85 to their 82. Like, the improvements are there. And you can see the improvements, Mark. And I think Celtic fans have to see that improvements. But the concern is, like, it could have been way worse in Betis, only for saves, but from Joe Hart again, Mark. And Joe Hart again showed why he's a top keeper still at Celtic, and I think we're actually lucky to have him in goal at the moment for us. Otherwise, Mark, we could be getting thumped like Barcelona's and Paris Saint-Germain's the other night.
It could have been, couldn't it? But we made it enough chances as well. I mean, see, from a neutral's point of view, Paul, that was a cracking game of football.
Hmm.
I mean, it was if a neutral was sitting watching that, they'd have sat there and watched the game and enjoyed the game.
Yeah, yes, he too, Mark, had a few chances where he could have got another kind of one or two chances well that he should have kind of put in the back net. That's, I think, down to Yeti.
That
He seems to be a
sharpness as well.
sharpness, but that's like, it just shows, Mark, how what Kyogo actually brought to that front three. How, because he's so fast moving, Mark, and he's moving so fast that the ball has to move fast to find Kyogo. Do you get me?
I know you.
And then it's when we have a Yeti, Mark, as you said, he's lacking match fitness, or he's not that type of player. There's a lack of movement, and that's slowing down our attack as well. But
But
you
it
have to.
shouldn't be, Paul.
It shouldn't be,
I mean, we said the other night in that you put the ball in the box to a Yeti and he'll score.
Hmm.
And that's again, we didn't do that enough today either. We didn't give him. Do you know what I mean? He's a different player. We've said it for Kyogo. He's not going to make all these runs. But if you get the ball into the box, he'll score goals. And that's just where we've kind of fell away again.
Hmm. But Mark, I know we spoke about Turnbull there, and he did come good there, kind of in the league there a couple of weeks back when he's kind of scoring goals. But he's really kind of not just in league form. He's really have to slip in his performance throughout the last couple of games again, hasn't he, Turnbull?
Just consistency. He needs to find a level of consistency. I said it in the last podcast, there seems to be peaks and troughs with Turnbull. Either it's a great game or he's rubbish. There's no kind of middle ground.
No.
He's never. You never just say he's done a good shift. Do you get what I mean? You never just say that about him. Either it's a great game or he's stinking.
Well, look, I don't want to kind of spend too much on the league, the Europa League, Mark, because like our main intentions this year, and every Celtic fan is the league. But have you got player ratings for
Uh,
the European game? Yeah,
uh,
you want to start sober?
Joe Hart made some great saves in the first half, but he was left. I mean, defence just crumbled in front of him.
Exposed, Mark, weren't he?
Completely
Yeah.
exposed. Uh, but if we said there, if it wasn't for Hart, we'd have conceded more goals than we did. I gave him a 6. Ralston, I thought Ralston had one of his poorest games in a while against Betis, Paul, to be honest.
Hmm.
Uh, Maybe it showed again that he's not really that kind of level of player. Do you know what I mean? Playing at that kind of higher level. But
That's what we spoke about, Mark, didn't we? When we're coming up against top teams in Europe, is Ralston that answer? You know?
I see, I don't think he is. He's shown that he's really vastly improved this season. And I've said that before about players, he's good enough, he's shown that he's good enough to play like in the league for us. But I don't know whether it was just a bad game or whether it was a bit above and beyond him the other night. So I gave him
Hmm.
a 6 as well. Uh, Starfelt, he must take a big share of the blame. The blame is Spaniards just consistently getting behind him. Just every time they wanted to get in behind him, they done it. Gave him a 5. Car- Carter Vickers, I think I don't think he can do with some more. I'm not going to slag him off, but his performance because he didn't play too well either. But I think he could do just his match fitness. He needs to play more
Hmm.
games to get yourself up to speed. Gave him a 5. Juranovic, he put in some shift getting up and down the park, but eventually it was just like the rest of the defence, he was pinned back because he just I mean, they basically swarmed their defence for long periods, Paul. They really did.
Yeah,
Took a penalty, but stepped up and had a good penalty.
it's raucous, wasn't this?
It was I.
Jeez, a raucous, yeah, in fairness to him.
I gave him a 6 as well. Sorrow, but I mean, he started the game a bit like a headless chicken,
Mm-hmm.
just running about and just basically kicking people for a bit. And it was
Very
lucky
lucky, Mark.
part, but
Lucky to stay in that. Only for that, I don't know, that referee was poor, Mark. He should have been sent off, Zara, I think.
I mean, seeing, he stayed on, and I thought he actually played no. He played even if people even were good spells. I thought he played no bad.
Mm-hmm.
He was lucky to stay on the park. I gave him a 6. We're talking about Turnbull. I thought that was one of Turnbull's better games the other night. See, when we were on the attack, he was pulling the strings in the midfield. The pass that he made for Jota,
Mm-hmm. Some line pass, wasn't this?
you know what I mean? That, and then uh, the
But that's what he can do, Mark. Do you mean
yeah,
that's what you want Tottenham to do? But he, as you said there, is consistency. Do you know what I mean? It's
seems to
week
be.
in and week out, like, you know.
I gave Turnbull. I gave him a 7. Rogic, I wasn't impressed with Rogic the other night. I thought that was a poor game, and I thought it was back to like a kind of offy, like lackadaisical type of performance for him. Didn't seem to
Mm-hmm.
be working hard, getting himself about. Gave him a 5. Montgomery, I thought he started the game well, linking up well with Juranovic. Uh, as the game went on, it kind of passed him by. I'm not going to be too hard on the lad, but he's young. He'll learn for that. He'll learn for playing against great teams. You know that kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Gave him a 6. Ayeti, I thought he worked away, done well. Gets a typical poacher's goal, and he won the penalty. I gave Ayeti my man of the match. To be
Mm-hmm.
honest, gave him an 8. Jota, where have I got that? It looks really good going forward. We've said if he needs to kind of work his end product, but with some cross that he put in for a Yeti
Mm-hmm.
goal. But again, he's like Sorrow, he's rough around the edges, but there is a making a good player with Jota, but he needs to work. He needs to learn to like work harder, track back, and things like that. I didn't think he was doing that very well.
Yeah, he doesn't do that, Mark, does he? That's not his kind of his style of play, is it? That he doesn't track back, you know?
I gave him a 6. In McCarthy, I'm surprised he wasn't brought on earlier with Sorrow walking a red card tightrope, but I thought McCarthy came on just to help. Just kind of done the same kind of job as Sorrow did. He kept things ticking on. A wee bit, I suppose he showed a wee bit more urgency in his game than Sorrow, but
Mm-hmm.
so I just gave him a 6 as well.
So I went the same as I went hard. I went to 7, Mark. I thought he made a catalogue of saves in the first half, but again, the second half, though conceding 6 goals because he was exposed, I thought he still had a good game. Radisson, I gave a 5. I thought he struggled. I'm a bit like you, Mark. Was it a step above Radisson, or was it due to the fact, Mark, that he was only back over COVID? Could have that have hit him, you know? So I gave it.
Shouldn't have been playing then.
No, that's what I'm saying. I was surprised he was playing, Mark. You know, that's what it really was. And if he played against Real Betis, and if he wasn't fit enough to start living today, Mark, he shouldn't have been playing against Real Betis. Do you know what I mean? You know, Starfelt. Jeez, Mark, I went 5. I thought Starfelt, he looked very square. There was lack of movement for him, and Real Betis just looked at him, Mark, as kind of a target man that they were able to get around him. You know. Vickers, I gave a 5. I think it's due to the fact that he looked legged and maybe more matches within the team, and hopefully he can build a partnership. But either Welch or Starfelt, I think we need to get a proper settled defence. I think is our main problem. Jovanovic, I gave a 6. Great penalty. Another one of our fullbacks, Matt. I think he got up and down the ring too well, but I think in the end it was too much of an attack in the second half where we Batiste that it kind of came too much for him. Zorro, I gave a 4. You might say, but I think I'm giving him his 4 because of his discipline. I thought Marky was shocking. He could have really let the team down, Mark. He could have got sent off. For that reason, we seen it with Beaton. You know, Zorro's not a new player in the team, Mark. He's been around the club for a while now. And I thought Zorro could have done Could have been more disciplined. Torn, I thought I gave a 6. Uh, a great, as you said there, Mark, with his pass there to Yota for the goal. Great free kick as well for the Ralston header in the second half. Roderick, I gave a 5. I didn't think he was in the game. And I don't know, Mark, should Roderick be playing against these bigger teams in Europe? I don't think Roderick is fit enough for that. He's got to be playing, I think, around Livingston and stuff like that. I think, but we come to Livingston today, we'll talk about Roderick, and that didn't impress me there either. Yes, I gave an 8. I thought, look, he did what he had to do, Mark. He got in the box, he got his goal, he got the penalty. Yota, I gave a 6. Impressed by Yota. Still needs a bit of work, but he doesn't like to do the dirty work, Mark. It's the same with Roger, because I said that two of them don't like to press from the top, which leads too much pressure on the Ange system. He wants defending done to the top, and Yota, Roger, and Tomlinson, they don't kind of graft in for that dirty work. McCarthy gave a 6. I think he added a bit more composure to the midfield after he came on for Zorba. I thought that decision could have come on a bit earlier. Overall, Mark, I thought it was a good performance, but it's the same old with Celtic in Europe. Is our frailties in the back line that always seems to be letting us down in Europe.
But I stayed in the live chat, Paul. See if somebody had offered you a 4-3 loss before it, they've probably took
You
it.
would take it, yeah.
Because I thought it'd have been a lot. I mean, it was a tough game for us, but I thought it'd be a lot tougher than that. I couldn't believe it. We went 2-0 up.
Hmm.
But we just crumbled. We're in worst enemy, Paul.
Hmm. Uh, Moving on to today's game, Mark, I think the big question from the starting team was the inclusion of Bonangoli, who hasn't featured in pre-season, who hasn't kind of featured in any game, hasn't even come on as a sub, and to see him come on in the plastic pitch, Mark, and having Montgomery on the bench, who hasn't done an awful lot wrong, Mark, since he's been coming into the squad. It was a really baffling decision by Ange today to play Bonangoli, wasn't it?
It was. I don't think anybody expected that. Excuse me. It was a bit of a left field decision, but I thought he did a decent enough game today, to be honest, Paul. I mean, well, let's put it. Say one thing, but see all the people that are going about Greg Taylor. But Greg Taylor's a lot better than Ball and Golly in my book, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. What went? I doubt the game was fresh in the thing, Mark, but it was like a bit of deja vu for me today, wasn't it? That to last season, wasn't it?
Aye, just as soon as they get that goal and they just packed that defence, I knew we were going to struggle to break them down. I just get that feeling. And then that don't I'm not I mean I'm not using it as an excuse either, Paul, but that ref they did a shocker is my opinion as well.
Mm-hmm. He,
Just really, really poor standard the refereeing in Scotland.
but people are saying, Mark, look, it's the omen of this plastic pitch. But when I went looking to Livingston's thing, they Motherwell beat them there, Aberdeen beat them there, St Mirren beat them there. But Celtic just can't get the grips with this plastic pitch, or they just can't. Is it down to the fact, Mark, that our players can't play in that pitch, or?
Can he be, Paul? Because our record gets back years on it, didn't it? That
Mhm.
we've struggled to get a result. I mean, what was it? Under Gordon Strang was the last time we won there. And I think they had a grass pitch at that.
Grass pitch, yeah, that's what they were saying in the live chat. Yeah, Jan Wenger and Hesslink was out there. They were showing it there on the Celtic TV. Hesslink was the score was there. Fucking Derek Ryden was the scorer back then. Like, so that's going back a long time, Mark. When you're naming players like that, aren't you?
Aye.
You know.
That, Paul, it's just honestly, it just reminded me like a Neil Lennon performance. We just can't fail to break down these tight packed defensive teams. I mean, at one point, Sir Livingston had 7 players across their 18-yard line.
Hmm. But is that?
I mean, that's why we bought Abada. That's why we've got Yota and loan, and well, again, Kyogo would have made a good bit of difference there the day again. But well, you can only pee
play
with the
what you
cock.
have.
You can only pee with the cock you've got, Paul. So
But
there's
does that go to show, Mark? So
excuses,
that's
Paul. We should be. There's no excuses. Our youth team should be able to give Livingston a good game. I mean, they're a big physical team again. We seem to struggle against these kind of big
mhm.
physical teams as well. But when it comes to an actual football match, Paul, our younger players should be able to give Livingston a decent run.
But
Our first team to put in a performance like that today is just it's not acceptable. It really isn't in
is
my book.
was there fatigue, Mark, due to the big game we put up against Betis the other night? You know what I mean? And I know we've a lot of injuries, Mark, and stuff like that. But did this was the strongest thing that Ange could have put out, bar the surprise inclusion of Bolingoli. I think you know what I mean.
It just shows you. I mean, we were all happy with the transfer window and the players that came in, but we've not got a good depth in the squad. That's a problem.
But you made a good point to me as well, Mark. You said before the match started that people said that McCarthy didn't have a good game today. And you made a good point to me before the game even started that he's been wrapping McCarthy around cotton wool since he came in to get a match fit to get a thing, and then to put him on a plastic pitch in his first game. I
Uh,
mean, that's another kind of a decision, Mark, that you need to be looking at. Like, would you not have preferred to me McCarthy playing a Ross County game or?
McCarthy should have played last week at
Mhm,
Celtic Park. We all expect him to start again, and well, I said Dan seemed to have wrapped in cotton wool for a couple of weeks. Then we found out the COVID as well.
mhm.
But it was terrible. Well, the first half, he was no bad in the first half today, but the second half, it just I don't know.
And that pitch, Mark, it is like, and I played it like it is hard in the legs. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And for McCarthy, like to play like his first game, like you're doing it. Thank God he didn't play Zorro there because I would have snapped over his performance if he would have started him. But Mark, it wasn't even that. Like it was just Celtic just couldn't get any rhythm, any fluency, any pattern today. Like there was nothing of a remnants of what Ange Ball could be
Even,
today.
even when we were trying to get things going, Paul, Livingston played their game plan to perfection. They were giving away, just be daft for anything. They just take so that Celtic couldn't build up any momentum. You know what I mean? Giving away just be daft fouls just to get a break and play. And
Hmm.
I tell you
There
what,
was one thing that I think was around the 75th minute when Rogic was just standing behind. Was it Bison was just standing behind one of the players, and the player went over, and the linesman flagged for a free kick. Like you know what I mean? And even the commentators and said he was going. You know, what I mean, it's common sense. Like, do you know what I mean? Like for a player, like it's cheating, Mark. But that was their game plan, and the referee did let him get away with it today. Do you know what I mean? He was blood. There was the referee didn't let that game get any fluency as well today, Mark. He was blown for every single little free today. You know.
even the one when Celtic tried to take it in the left wing, Celtic tried to take the free kick, a quick free
Hmm.
kick, and he brought them back to so that he could just pull up the Livingston player.
Hmm.
He didn't even book him. He wasn't even going to book. He didn't book the guy or nothing. He just pulled him back, pulled the full game back, so that he could have a word with him to give him a warning.
But with all these breaks in play, Mark, and disruption to our play, like, would that affect Celtic's performance today? Like our passing was bag average anyway today, Mark. I thought Turnbull was shocking today. You know, his distribution and Abadal's distribution, Yasha's distribution. We couldn't even get a decent pass really into the box to supply a Yeti with the ball, could we? You know.
No, there was a few decent crosses in. The one that went to Turnbull. Again, I don't know if it was a bad bounce off that pitch, but it just didn't seem to kind of sit right for him. I think it ended up hitting him in the face. But again, just if you can put balls into the box, yet he's going to be there or thereabouts, Paul.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to walk it through the middle, to piles of numbers in there, they were outnumbering us. And gee, at times it was as if they had extra men in the park. That's how hard a shift the Livingston players put in, because there was two men on every Celtic player when they got the ball.
Mhm. Let's talk about the goal, Mark. You said there at the start of the show it was a schoolboy error, but it was a mistake really by Welsh. Like, I know he's still learning stuff to get with Mac. That's a basic error for a goal to be given away, isn't it?
It's a kind of what you call a schoolboy error, but just for me, Paul, again, it's just down to concentration. Keep that kind of mental sharpness, is that what you call it? I don't know, but that kind of thing. It was. I mean, we know that Welsh is a better player than to make that kind of mistake.
Mhm.
It just
Do-
it's a young boy. Just I'm not going to hang him out, take him out for it. Do you know what I mean? We say that there's one of the things that could buckle young players into it when fans put so much pressure on them. But it just shows you again how easy it is for a player to, because I see it's getting a lot of grief on social media and that already, and you're like, oh, no, this again.
mhm. But you want about concentration, Mark, and like, we all speak about the lack of kind of shots that would be on heart. But I know they couldn't see the goal, but that point blank save again from that header there in that first half, it could have been 2-0, could have been game over
I don't even think
from Hart.
I think he meant that. I think it was just kind of.
Luck, Mark, reflex, or whatever it was. Like, it was, you know what I mean? It was,
Oh,
but
he stopped it poking in the net, and that's what he's paid today.
because,
It was some save.
but the only one, Mark, I saw from a bit of urgency was from Hart today, getting the ball, trying to get the ball moving fast. Do you know what I mean? He was the only one I thought, Mark, today that showed any bit of urgency
Look,
to get the ball.
I thought Carter Vickers.
Vickers,
Yeah, he
he
was
had
driving forward.
lucky not to score.
Aye, that was a great good shot. That was unlucky not to score that. Eh,
You know?
which is a good thing because we know Ayer, that was kind of the way Ayer played the game. It's just good
Mhm.
to see that we've got a centre back that's going to do that, but what they need to realise is that when he's pushing forward, they still need somebody else to sit back. We can't have the other centre back up beside him.
Mhm. Was Celtic unlucky today, Mark, or was it a poor performance?
Eh, I, I'm just going to say,
Bit of both.
I was going to say a bit of both, Paul, but nah, for me it was just a poor performance. Just 2 seconds, I'll go and get Mikey at it, Paul.
There's a lack of Mark. Is that too, though? So, Mark, like how we say, what would you pragmatic, Mark, of Ange not to change a system, Mark, when it's not working for him to maybe get a goal. Do you know what I mean? You like we never see Ange on ball or over the top or something like that. But do you think that will change when Jacko maybe is fit? That we'll have that different option there, that he might change a bit of his system.
Well, I'd like to think that's one we've said all night. That's us get three different types of strikers, so they're not going to be able to play the way. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to. We know Ayeti's not going to play like Thiago plays.
Hmm.
Jacko, I don't imagine he's going to say. So it gives us more options, but it's still the thing about the going forward thing is the midfield needs to produce better chances.
And I just saw too, Michael. What I know is too about
You there,
Abada.
Paul? You there, Mikey?
Yeah.
Mikey,
I'm here, mate. Yeah.
you hear us? Do you hear for you,
What?
bud?
How you feeling, bud?
I feel a lot better. I just feel like you still get tired,
Hmm.
like even walking up the stairs. But health-wise, kind of back to normal, other than the taste and smell still not being back. But
Jesus.
it's good to see some football and that today. And then I was actually in an alright mood until I actually managed to find the link to that match, and then it just is like that's. I don't care what anybody says. That's one of the worst performances I've seen, and this was going back to Lennon, and that's one of the worst performances for a Celtic team I've seen in a long time. Like, so bad. Like, they could have played there till next Christmas and no scored there.
That was it, mate. But I wouldn't even. I mean, we're saying was it a thing of luck? You could say it was bad luck if we were making a barrel load of chances and had missed and hit the bar, hit the post and things like that. But there was none of that. That's what I'm just saying. No, it was just a terrible, terrible performance across the board.
Yeah, and like,
Sure.
I've seen like a few people, and Paul, I didn't, he wasn't using it as an excuse, but people saying, oh, well, they're away in Spain and that on Thursday. I mean, most of that Livingston team were like League One, League Two level at most. They just outworked Celtic, and the fact that David Martindale managed to get one over on Postecoglou as well. He's had a lot of plaudits from me and a lot of the guys on this forum and that, but he's got to start taking some responsibility for this. I mean, look at the league table. Bottom 6 for him, and I don't care if it's only 6 games or no, You're only as good as your last game, And that's 3 away defeats in a row, beating Europe again, sitting, 6 now,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's shocking, Like you say, and people say, well, we've not got players available. It was a good transfer window to a degree. But the players on the park today should have been more than enough to beat them. I'm getting sick of people using the pitches as an excuse as well. You know what I mean? The 2 teams are playing on it. Celtic have got loads of plastic pitches at their training centre. They could have trained on them all week to get used to it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, Mickey. Like the likes of Aberdeen, St Mirren, Motherwell can go up there and beat Livingston off the park, and then Celtic can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going on there? Like as you said, like this team should have been capable, and Mark, you said as well, like this starting team should be capable of beating Livingston, but can we not play against more physical teams? Is that a problem under Ange that he's signing players maybe that are too lightweight to compete against these bigger teams? Mark?
Well, I've said it, Paul. There's definitely a lack of physicality throughout the team. I mean, you wouldn't. I mean,
I think our biggest player at the moment, Mark, is Vickers, and after that, you can, I don't know, really, can you?
I mean, but that Vickers, what height is he? Because he doesn't look that. Do you get what?
6'4". It's the same height as Starfield. Yeah.
Is he 6'4"?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have thought that. That's a surprise to me.
Sorry, 6'3", 6'3" or 6'2". Start. Yeah. Same height, 182 centimetres, Mark. If you go centimetres, that's what he's reading.
But I mean, he's a big unit of a laddie, so but him and hopefully McCarthy, when he's up to speed and playing better, hopefully he'll bring a bit of dig into the midfield, and for me that'll help a lot in the team when we've got this kind of a bit of physicality in about us. But it's again when it's just stuff for
But you know what I see too, Mark?
We're talking about the same things we spoke about
last season.
Really, it's
but Mark, what I've noticed about Abada as well today, he didn't kind of do the usual Abada stuff that we're so used to doing, is running down the ring, running down to the byline, putting the ball in the box. Abada was cutting in a lot.
All the time is
passing it back. I think that, but even when we did get in the box, Mark, we had no one. There was no. We're lacking players, Mark, who have the intelligence to say, all right, he's going to put that ball into the box. I need to get into that box to get a chance to get that header. There's no experienced player like that. Like Turnbull and Roger should be the players, Mark, who are providing the assistant to the forward, the Yeti, to get in the box, and they're not. Do you know what I mean? That's where, as you said, like they're too similar players, Mark. They're thinking too similarly. Do you know what I mean?
Our best chance was created with Sorrow. That be through passive for a Yeti that the Livingston keeper saved it, didn't he?
He did put off a few. I mean, he did put off a few. Was it Serchek? I think C-check or something. I think his name was. He pulled off good saves there today. In fairness to him, you know, he kept him in it. But again, Mark, it's going down to last season. These are chances that Celtic should be scored.
And Welsh was unlucky with the header as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't win games on chances, Paul. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Games on.
That's what I said, Mark. That's what I said at the thing when I was going through the stats for BTs. Like, we could have all the stats in the world, Mark. It doesn't matter about the stats. It doesn't matter about the thing. As Mickey said there, it's the result. And Ange at the moment is only as good as his last game. And the league table is at line. We're line 6th. We've 3 losses already away from home. We haven't won away from home. I think, Mickey, is it till, if I'm right, the 16th of February? Now, this is a record now that's stretching long. Is this a tough rot, Mickey, for us to get out of?
I think so. Like I say, I've been on obviously back. It's been a month of that obviously because I'm just back for illness, but like I was given as much plaudits as anybody regarding the style of play and the excitement within the team and just the general thing. But even like this, I mean, the guys in the chat saying, "Oh, We had 16 shots on goal. We dominated the game. I think the keeper had one top save, did he? For a Yeti that he touched wide.
That one I'm just talking about, Mikey. That one and the header for
Welch, yeah.
People say we dominated the game. We got beat for Livingston 1-0. And people are on about dominating the game. You know what I mean? Is that what Celtic have wrapped to now? Oh, we dominated the game though. We had 16
that's
shots
it,
on goal.
Mikey. That's it. Like you can dominate the game, but game of football is about putting the ball in the net, and that's where Celtic have been doing. You know, away from home, I think we just seem to be putting the, I don't know, Mark, what would I say? We're not creating chances enough, or we're not challenging enough, or we don't have that edge about us to get the ball in the net. Is this, you know, that clinical finish or something, Mark? There's something missing. Like we're all praising about the fight on the arms and stuff, and I know we've injuries, Mark, but football is built around the squad, and I know our squad is depleted, but that team today, Mark, should have been capable of beating Livingston today.
More than capable. There's no. I'm with Mikey. There's no. You can't. For me, you can't sugarcoat this. As I said, we weren't unlucky, Paul, because if we're unlucky, we're hitting the post, we're getting a goal disallowed, we're hitting the crossbar, their keepers making. Many times have we spoke about goalkeepers playing against Celtic and having the match of their career.
Mm-hmm.
Spoke about that 100 times, it seems to happen with goalkeepers, but you can't say that about that Livingston keeper today. It was just a god awful performance for Celtic. Just, as soon as we were getting into, I know they were camped out in an 18-yard box, but that's why we're paying players big money. That's what we're up against in Scotland, especially when they go one up, when they go 1-0 up. They're just going to go even more defensive.
Do you think so, Mark? Sorry, Mike, go on.
No, I was just saying, just like, because it was 1-0 and obviously people are saying we're dominating the game. People do realise that Livingston probably had the better chances and could have.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that. Yeah, only for Hart saving it could have been 2-0 and that game was over. We weren't going to score today, Michael, no matter how long that game went on.
And near the end of the game as well, James Forrest, brother, that Alan Forrest.
Yeah.
Hart made another good save at the end of the game as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
like there we are going on about the Livingston keeper maybe keeping them in the game, but look at the opposite side. Like Mickey said there, Mark, Joe Hart actually kept Celtic in the game. We could have lost 3-0, you know, which would have been embarrassing. It would have been looked way worse on paper than it actually was.
Well,
you know,
I've said it before about Hart. Like Celtic, he's maybe only got 2 or 3 saves to make, and then so it's up to him to keep his concentration to make the 2 or 3 saves. And I mean, he did make some good saves again today. There's no doubt about it.
Well, and that's what I mean. The boy Andrew Shinnie that was playing up the pitch, he run the show today. He dominated the defence and everything. Yeah,
he did. Yeah,
I think and the man of the, I think, because I was watching it on the Livingston link. They gave the man of the match that Obalai, or I think he's however he pronounced his name.
Yeah.
But that Andrew Shinnie dominated the Celtic team.
The dreadlocks.
Yeah.
He gets stuck in the day as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he came for Queen of the South last year in the Championship. That's what I mean. The people are going on about the team. And I understand that it's a new team and there's players that have played there and have played together and that. But you've got players like a Yeti and that. I mean, he's on more wages than the Hill Livingston club as a whole. I mean, Celtic had more than enough players out there, their international experience and that, whether they played together or no. Like, yeah, good players can play with each other and that's it. I mean, James McCarthy, like you say, I kind of agree. Like, he's been wrapped in cotton wool and just threw into a garbage pitch into playing against Livingston. But, like I says, I was happy when he signed, but the day he was dire, that second half especially.
I think the whole team was tired. I think we couldn't even get a pass going, Mark. The whole team couldn't even get a pass today.
But see, well, about the Livingston pitch, I was actually a Celtic stream. It was a Celtic TV stream I watched on. Tom Boyd was talking about it, and they wee black rubber pellets. I thought they were illegal on pitches now.
There was a rumour that they used
Janssen or
that's right, yeah.
Genic or something, however it is you pronounce that. I thought.
Yeah, I thought you kind of had to have that kind of a stand on it, no, Mark, or something like that, didn't you?
Oh,
like
Livingston still had black black rubbery pellet kind of things, and you could at certain bits you could see them kicking up. But I mean, I'm not using it as an excuse, either, Mikey, but that pitch is atrocious, isn't it, for a top level league?
Yeah,
Right.
sorry, I'm just trying to speak in the chat on that as well because Rab's been clearly on the piss like this. So,
So like, just go to the chat there.
Shinnie didn't dominate the Celtic team because they had 21% possession in 7 shots. So that means that he didn't dominate anything. I mean, every time the ball went up to the guy, he won everything. You know what I mean? Like that's even near the end of the game.
But then we're going down to and I can see what Rob was saying there. Like Livingston only had 21% possession, 7 shots a goal, 4 target. But those shots were still the best shots, Mark, that were in the game. Do you know what I mean? They were still the one shot that actually got in goal. Do you mean they took out of their 4 chances, they got 1. Only for Joe Hart kept saves out, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
To be fair as well, their goal.
You know, but the question mark is like, are Celtic going to struggle with Andrew's system to break down like last season, Mark? We see Celtic can't break down this different 12 men behind it, 11 men behind the ball. It's like, as you said there, Mark, Livingston at one stage had 7 across that back line. Like, Mikey, do you think that maybe signing Jacko gives Ange that different, maybe Andrew tweak his system a bit? Like, Tony's correct, he never did it though, he never tweaked his system. But the fact that he's signing a physical presence now, does he actually, maybe Ange sees that he's a football man, that he needs a physical forward?
No, I just think that they bought the guy because he's a good player. Like, I didn't think they bought him because, like, based on seeing the guy in the Eredivisie last season, I mean, he's totally different to anything we've got now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I mean. He can do everything. He's quick. He's strong. The only thing that's annoyed me with that whole situation with him, because I said obviously months ago that I wanted them to sign him, but the fact that, like, say, as a professional football player, has not kept himself remotely. Like, I'm not saying that he's not kept himself fit, but you still think he would have been training, and like, I expected him to come in and be there or thereabouts ready to go. Like, I didn't think he was going to be that far off the pace. That has took weeks and weeks and weeks to. Like, I expected to see him at least on the bench today.
Seems to be a kind of, well, I've got to say then, Juranovic, he get flung right in at the deep end at Ibrox now, but with certain players it does seem to be miles away from the levels of fitness. To what you're saying, Mikey, you'd expect professional players, even if they're leaving clubs out of contract, but you'd expect them to be at a certain level of fitness that it would only take them a week or 2 to get back up to being bang on where a manager would want them to be.
Like I says, I mean, there's a lot of games coming up that are must win, and people say it's still early in the season, but like he says, whether it's 6 games or 30 games, the league table doesn't lie you. And 6 games in, we've only won 3 games, and I can't remember a start to a season badder in the league.
No, so that
people can tell me I didn't ken the last time that we started 6 games in and we've lost 3 games.
So I think back to is Ange under pressure now, Mark, from maybe Celtic fans that 3 games in we lost 3. Do you know what I mean? We only won 3. Like, we haven't won away from the league. Is pressure not going to
say pressure, but he's got to take
responsibility, or
got to take at least some of the responsibility for it. But I wouldn't say he's under any kind of pressure, but it's just, I mean, again, Paul, it's just a game that Celtic, we know that Celtic should be going there and putting in a better performance and should be capable of beating.
But you have to question. Go on, Mike.
I was just going to play devil's advocate here, and I fully got trust in Postecoglou, and I think his team will come good, especially when we've got everybody fit. But I'm just looking at Aberdeen as well. They've played the same, and they're a point behind us in 7th. They've no won in 7 games, right? Aberdeen. And if you go in their Twitter yesterday at full time, go and look at their comments on Stephen Glass that was just appointed at the start of the season. Aberdeen's wanting him out already. And I'm not saying Celtic supporters are calling because that would be stupid. Like he says, there's been a massive overhaul at Celtic, but You just need to look at Aberdeen fans and what they think of their manager.
But that's modern. That's modern football now, though, Mike. Ain't it like, you know what I mean? Like, football is about results. I mean, if
like say Aberdeen, like says Aberdeen are up there in the league with Celtic and Rangers and that for kind of like how much season tickets cost and that. Fans pay a lot of money and travel a lot. Like it says, to see that garbage on the pitch every other week.
Aberdeen like to think of themselves as the third biggest club in Scotland. I mean, I could argue all day, but they've kind of assumed that mantle because really it's on the back of Alex Ferguson's success with them. But as you say, Mikey, it costs a lot of money even like for staying out of Aberdeen and things like that. So they're paying to support their club, and well, they're quite entitled to have a pop if that's a
correct. Like it says,
well, they've got two cool an American, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, like I said, and that's a good question for Rab on the thing. He says, where did everybody expect Celtic to be at this point in the season with the rebuild and the rebuild? I would have been, with the way the games have been played this year, Celtic should be up there first or second easy.
Say that as well.
With the points dropped, like Rangers dropping points today at Motherwell and everything. Dundee, Hibs and Hearts dropping points again yesterday. Celtic should easily hit 12 points plus. So, I mean, and that's the bare minimum. So the fact that Celtic are finishing 6 is an embarrassment to the club, especially with the amount of money. I didn't care about the rebuild. I'm basing it on money spent alone, and wages spent on players. And the fact that they're sitting 6th in the league. I mean, I was at the Dundee Derby today, and it's all in jest and everything, but I was getting the piss ripped at me, You know what I mean? That's what I mean, like, the fact that Dundee United and everything are ahead, like, and people say, oh, it's only 6 games, rebuild this, rebuild that. It's fucking embarrassing. You know what I mean? It's just a dire, honestly. And like, say, we've got Leverkusen again, and I'm not looking forward to that game either. That game coming up, what's that, a week on Thursday? Like, you know what I mean, they're like, if people thought Betis were a good side, like Leverkusen are again a level up, and obviously at Parkhead I always feel like you've got a chance of getting to anybody, but
the next thing I want to bring up there, and Brian has in the live chat and I have in my notes as well, Mark, is that you have to question Ange's decision today to bring Bolingoli into that starting lineup when he hasn't featured in pre-season or thing. Like, what was he thinking there? Like when we see Montgomery playing there, and to be fair to Montgomery, he hasn't done Scales
of it, but him.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know, I would think Scales would be better than Bolingoli, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
There I'm saying players are coming in. It seems to be taking them a bit too long to get up to match fitness. But this guy's been playing football. He's been playing every week.
Exactly.
Celtic, so I don't see why a game like the day was ideal for him to start.
And do you know what the best thing is, Mark? Like, and Mickey, you said as well before that on the podcast as well. The thing, if you're fit enough for the bench, you're fit enough to play. And that's what was it.
We were talking about Bolingoli right back at the start when they were playing loads of players out of position and that, how he wasn't getting a game and everything and that. Then you've got Scales, who's one of the best players to come out of Ireland in the last 5-6 years. That's been playing in the Europa League and that for Shamrock Rovers. And
done well, Mikey, and you saw
scored goals
in
that.
Yeah.
But can't get a game against, and this isn't a disrespecting to Livingston or that, because I've obviously got the knock against Celtic, but the fact that you played Bolingoli over Montgomery and Scales, that's concerning, like,
Like Shamrock Rovers would wipe the park of Livingston, Mark. Do you know what I mean? We're gonna when we signed Scales, Mark, I was going on about freaking teams that he'd be capable of playing against in the SPL. Like, and you look at Livingston stats today before the Celtic game, they haven't won one game. Like, you know what I mean? They lost 1, they drew 4. Like, Scales is more than capable of coming in, and he would have got up and down that line. Do you know what I mean? He would be making.
See, even when you look at it like that, Paul, that makes it even worse.
That makes it worse, man. That's what made it worse. Man. I had that my notes said that Livingston haven't won a game, yes, and still in all, they contained Celtic. They didn't look under pressure by Celtic. Do you know? It was. I would say it was a comfortable game.
They were comfortable. Yeah. They were. See, all right, they got their goal, and that was it. I mean, somebody in the live chat just said it like the worst anti-football I've seen. It was. I mean, their tactics and their wee sneaky time wasting things and all that. It was really, really pathetic, to be honest. But once they get that goal, they just shut up shop with numbers, and that was it. We just couldn't find a way through.
But does that, Mark, then, like, do we then have to maybe question Ange, Mark, that he doesn't change tactics, Mark, to break down this team? Because we were, this time last year, Mark, we were critical of Lennon because he couldn't break down this team, because he had no game B plan to break down these teams. Do you know, like, do we shift on to Ange? I know it's hard, yeah, especially when you don't have Snowden on the bench. But but the question is, Mark, if Jack goes fit and if we have three different defenders and stuff, and if we still can't break him down, and if he still doesn't change, Mark, then I think the questions need to become under Ange's system, don't they?
I get what you're saying, Paul, but for me, again, it was, see, like a player like Kyogo. For me, he brings you that kind of
Space,
that be kind of
urgency or something, Mark, is it? I think he just, yeah,
that be kind
spark.
of that be kind of spark. It'd be like Lubo. No, I mean, when Celtic years ago were playing against teams camped in their box, you could rely on Lubo to get a wee bit of magic to get by for once in the game. Do you know what I mean? And that was all you needed. So it's hard to say whether it's the system or no, because I mean, what else can you do if they've got 7 men across their back line?
I was obviously watching the game. How slow is the midfield? Like, I mean, I don't know if anybody else agrees or it's been said that because it was a bit late coming on, but there's surely, like, say, Stevie Wonder can see that Turnbull and Roderick kind of playing the same team.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we were saying it during the thing, myself, Mark, we were saying that.
Your podcast, Mike.
Like that you'll be missing, Mikey, there. We'd be saying, like, they're too similar. They think the same way. Do you know what I mean? That they just don't give no benefits playing the two of them together, because one, they don't do no high press for you, or they don't track back to help out the midfield. I don't know why he's persistent in playing two of them together, Mikey. It's either one or the other.
Yeah, I just totally agree with Liam in the chat, like, regarding Postecoglou, because I was just, like, says, I'll be the first to... People deserve plaudits when they deserve it, but the manager does need to be questioned, like he says,
percent he needs to be.
A lot of people think that he can't do no wrong in that he's just in because they love the style of football and that today, but I don't care what anybody says, and they've said it already, but that was an absolute disgrace.
This performance is today's performance, Mikey, is worse than the Hearts game that you predicted that we would lose because we weren't ready. But now the fact that we have good games under Ange and you see this performance just makes it even worse, don't they?
And I agree with, like, Livingston's tactics and what Mark's saying regarding that, but you've got to respect it as well to a degree, because that is their style.
That's what the bottom teams do. That's what they do to get their points. Yeah, that's what they do to get points. Like, it's always tougher to play against the team. I think it's always tougher to play against the team down the bottom of the league, Mark, that are scraping for points, because they'll do the dirty game, or like we saw today, time based and stuff like that. But you have to rise above that, Mark. You know what I mean? And that's what Celtic didn't do, did they? You know,
the referee could have stepped in a few times and pulled them up about it, because it was obvious what they were doing. And even if they were getting injured, nothing had happened to them. The goalkeeper went down injured and nobody'd been near him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just a bit of sour grapes, but I think the ref had a bit of an all-round stinker, and I'm not using that as an excuse for Celtic getting beat. I don't think what you said earlier, Paul, he didn't aid the game flowing in any way. Kind of, it was stop, start, and that stopped Celtic getting any kind of momentum up running.
So we were just talking about scales there, and Ange has just come out there on Celtic TV, and he says Liam Skpe isn't just quite ready to feature for the Hopes at the moment. I thought he would have got some minutes on the game today, but I was very happy with Bolingoli's performance today.
He was alright today, Bolingoli. I'm just a strange decision.
He played for the way the team was performing. I don't think you can blame Bolingoli for much that he done wrong.
He also said he slammed the players of the way they were playing. They were too slow. They were passing back side to side too many times. They were passing back the ball too many times. They were too square back. So, in saying that, Mark, do we question the players here, Mark? So, because are these players still reverting themselves the way they were last season, that they're not able to implement the Ange's system as the squad as a whole, Mark? We've seen the effects of Ange's system when we had our full squad, right? Now we're depleted with injuries, so we're looking at the whole squad at the moment, right? And the players that came in today, are these players not good enough for Ange's system, and that maybe Ange still needs to move on a lot of these players?
That's a bit of a tough one to be honest, Paul.
But this is going by what he's saying, Mark. He's saying that the players on the pitch today weren't able to implement the way I play. But he's saying there, Mark, that these players really aren't good enough, didn't he?
Well,
That's the case. That's really kind of what he's saying here, Mark, that they weren't able to implement the fast attacking football. There was we were passing the ball side to side too much. We were passing the ball back to back too much. So Ange's seen it, like what these players are doing. Like they're not fucking putting in the Ange system, or what we call it, the Ange ball, that they're not. So that's thing. So, Mark, that these players that are on the pitch, they aren't good enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, but half these players are always saying so. What players are they, Mark? Is it a Yeti? Is it Tombill? Is it Roderick? Do you know what I mean? The players that have been there are not good enough?
They deserve to be anyway, like criticised anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I say everybody loves it when they play a good game and then they're praised and this, that, and the next thing.
It's beautiful to watch, Mike, when it works. But if it doesn't work, it's shocking.
Because that's what, like, says, people says, oh, we've been away in Europe and they come back and there's a bit of a lull feeling in the thing when you go and play in the league and that. That's what you get paid the big money for. These players, and that, to actually be able to put up with that pressure and be able to play that.
That's why these players want to come and play in Europe, Mikey. Do you know what I mean? They want to play in these big games. They should be.
I into all this about European hangovers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, either die.
They make it out as if they're travelling to the right. Fair dues, now and again Celtic they travel to the back and beyond. But these players, it's not as if they're sitting in an easy jet flight with their knees round their ears flying out to Spain the other night.
But they will have to play. A lot of these players will have to play 3 games in 1 week in international level.
They're playing.
You know what I mean?
It's like people. Somebody on the forum brought up the other week about, we've got like travelling to Aberdeen after a European game, or travelling. Celtic fans moan about us travelling and that, and then you get down right, but they want to join like the English League or the Premier League. You've
More travelling there.
imagine you're a Newcastle fan, you're travelling down to London.
Mm-hmm.
London for a Chelsea match on the Wednesday, down to London the following week for a match against Arsenal. Do you get what I mean? It's just.
And more than likely, Mark, they're on the Newcastle club bus, driving down there.
But it's just, I just don't buy into all this European hangover stuff and that. You never hear of Bayern Munich. Do you get what I mean? You never hear that name talking about things like that. Just don't buy into that at all.
Bayern Munich pumped Barcelona 3-0 on Wednesday, then went and beat Bochum 6-0 last night, or 7-0. So
I know it's aye.
I mean, if that's a hangover, then I'll hate every day. Then, yeah. You know what I mean? So.
Well, what do we blame today, Mikey? Like, where did it go wrong? Like, do we look at Ange? Do we look at the players? Does the whole coaching staff come into question here, or what?
The players, it was painful. Unless my stream was really bad. It's so slow. Like, they just wasn't working the bar enough side to side. Like, it was so predictable. Like, it was a carbon copy of what was happening under Lennon and that. Like, and Lennon got pelters and that for it. And even Kennedy, when he took over, it was just exactly the same. There was just nothing. It was just too slow. It was easy for Livingston to defend it today because they seen what was coming.
I've a theory that Kennedy told Ange to slow the game down. That's how you beat Livingston, pass the ball side to side. Just laugh at my own joke there. But it was, Mac. It's going to what it was just shocking today. That was as bad. Now I saw a Celtic team under Ange so far. It was definitely the worst performance. Like, but we praised them for commitment against freaking Michelin. We praised them getting through to the Europa League, the commitment there, that the thing they had. But today, it was a total opposite, wasn't it?
Aye, is it a pedestrian? That's what Mikey's saying. It was that slow and predictable, and it was. I mean, really, she's the only one that kind of had any kind of urgency about them was wee Yota. I thought he was trying to
Hmm.
shift. Every time he got the ball, he was trying to get something going. But again, it didn't work out for him. But that's what I'm talking about. We need a player for that wee kind of spark, Paul, that can do the unexpected and help break these teams down. But Mikey says Livingston fully deserved that win today, and that's for me. That's the hard part, Paul.
Hmm.
Because you know what I mean. We can't say we were unlucky. It was down to luck. It was just down to a terrible performance across the team.
I think what annoys me is you can't base it on just like looking at a graph and seeing one team's had 16 shots and somebody's had 6 or 5 or whatever. Maybe you can argue that Livingston could have won 3-0 today.
Hmm.
Because they had the better chances, whether it was 16 shots or no. Other than 2, I would say one really top save here, Yeti into the bottom corner that he turned past the post. Like he says, it could have been 2 or 3. Then what do you take away from? I mean, 1-0's bad enough, but like he says, it's got what's our next game now? Wraith Rovers, is it?
Rovers, aye.
They're just going to park the bus there.
That's a must-win game.
You know what I mean? So
We're laughing, but I mean, stranger things have happened in the past, as we know.
But it could be, man. You know what I mean? Like we seen Tony Mowbray getting the sack over. What was it? He lost against Inverness back, but all those years back, was it? St Mirren, was it? He lost against you.
that was like 4-0, was it?
Yeah. Do you know?
Well,
Like,
like I says, my dad still talks about it. I think it was 94 or 95, maybe somebody a bit older can tell me, when they got beat for Wraith Rovers in the Coca-Cola Cup.
Aye, I can mind of that. That was unbelievable.
But my dad still talks about that Gordon DL to this day and how much he can't stand the guy. Like, and he still talks about that because he's like, that was one of the games. Like, this is just going to be a walkover, easy game. And that's what I mean. You just like you said, you just never know. Like it says, and I'm be genuinely like shocked. As long as Ange doesn't take them to what would you say?
likely.
Yeah, likely, because there's no a lot of Diddy teams about now. Like, Livingston are still a professional team, so as long as he respects them, then. But that is a must-win game on Thursday. Yeah.
Early game as well.
Yeah, so read Viduka and everything. Know what I mean?
I was actually in hospital. Mind the first leg of that get called off in the like half an hour before the game because a bit of the roof had blew down. We were like storms that weekend, and me and my mate were walking down towards the ground, and that's where we actually heard that the game had been called off. And then that was on the Saturday, and then I think it was on the Monday I had my accident at work, and they replayed the game, and I thought it was the drugs I was on in the hospital. I couldn't believe what I was seeing in that when we get put out with Inverness Cali Thistle.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But this is what happens, like you say, and I fully expect Celtic to. I mean, especially after that result of the day, I'm expecting like high goals on Thursday. Like, how long is Kyogo out for? Like, I've been totally, like you say,
We're not going to see Kyogo, I think, till realistically maybe the first week in October.
yes, that's a disaster. But you shouldn't need to depend on one player. But he's been a revelation since he's came. Like you say, for nearly a month now or whatever it's been. I've been totally, I felt like I've been totally out of the game, and I'm just starting to come back and like actually like see what's going on in that. And I didn't even think he was injured there.
Yeah, but that's going to the like you're looking at that too, Mikey, right? But then you have, if at the moment we only have one fit striker in the SE, and it's going back to you saying Celtic buying players who are not fit and they're not quite ready for the first team. Now, what is fit these days? Do you know what I mean? You know, surely, as we're saying, they're like they've been keeping fit within their clubs, even if they haven't been playing or been suspended. They're still going to be doing training and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? To get a few games under your belt is the only way, I think, of getting your match fitness up. I mean, Scales has been playing week in and week out for Shamrock Rovers. Do you know, he is fit, like, you know.
I'm kind of hoping for the goalkeeper and goal for Dundee United, that Benjamin Seagrass. That was his first game back. He was meant to be out till after Christmas. And I strolled up to the game with Jonas telling us that, oh, nah, he's out till Christmas, and then all of a sudden he's in the starting 11 the day. Because he was meant to have ligament damage, so hopefully there's a bit of Kyogo injury like that. Like, hopefully, like, say he's back sooner rather than.
I think it depends on the player as well. Yeah, it depends on the player himself, like how fast he kind of reacts to treatment and physio and stuff like that, you know.
Jack will be playing if he was still at the Dutch team.
He probably would, like Mark, he probably would be, yeah.
Yeah, that's Mikey say, I can't quite understand why players Scales like why they've been playing football and whatever, but they're no fit to play for us now. That's
what I'm finding, because this is I think we talked about this a bit last season when we were putting players out on loan or selling players, and the clubs they were going to were saying the fitness is shocking, or they're not up to scratch, and it's like we're doing the same now. Like the players that are coming in, they're not fit enough for us now. So you used to reckon what to believe going on.
Like the boy Scales, even playing in the League Island, surely.
We go, and that league is still going. Like that's what I can't understand, Mark.
Surely,
you know what I mean?
Good enough to have got like half an hour a day.
Dave's going to try and tell me that Shamrock Rovers are worse than Livingston.
No, Paul that earlier on as well. Aye.
Because
they would probably beat Livingston.
He would have suited us. He would have given us a different option today, Mark, out in the wings and stuff like that. Because
he's a big physical guy.
Yeah, they play a high ball, Mark, and he was there like 6'4", Mark, as a winger. Like, you know, I mean, that's a target man there for you. And this fella can head the ball as well as good as his feet. Like, you know what I mean? It just baffles me, Mark, why people are, as he said, they're like, Jacob would have been playing for in the Dutch league. No, if he was still maybe in the Dutch, he'd be playing. Scales would probably be playing for Shamrock Rovers last night if he was still there. Do you know what I mean? You know, it just baffles me like that. Why aren't these players? Does Ange have a different fitness levels, Mark, that he wants? Maybe they're not up to scratch at that.
You're saying about Ange changed his system, but they maybe not change his system as such. But they were saying Scales is 6'4". We're struggling to break down this defence today. They're playing with 7 men as their back line. Maybe it's time.
That's what I said, Mark.
We're relying on set pieces. Do you get what I mean? So get a guy that's 6'4" on it and give you somebody to aim at when you are getting a corner or a free kick to put into the box.
But that's what I just said. That's what I said, Mark, before Mickey came on. Is Ange bold enough to go against his own system and change it to bring on a player like Scales and rectify that we need a physical player? Because you could see clearly that Celtic were getting brushed aside, that any challenge, like shoulder or anything, all players went down. They're too light.
Bringing him on, you says he can play anywhere up that left hand side. So bringing him on to play in the left or left.
Yeah.
Right, he's on the park. It's not changing his system, but he's gaining you 6'4".
Different option. Yeah.
At set pieces, which
Angel soon realise that if he doesn't start changing things to try and get a result, and the pressure that he's away to go and be under, like he'll because you're not going to try and solve it. There's always got to be a plan B, because every team plays different. I mean, like Aberdeen, for example, or Hibs or Hearts, they're not going to put 7 and 8 behind the bar at him. You know what I mean? Like, there's no chance. Like Livingston have played that tactic ever since they came up. They played it in the Championship. They played it that's their tactic. That's it. I don't know any other team in the league that plays 7 to 8 behind the bar. So you need to have a different tactic for the games.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't play the same way. It's never going to work. You've got to have a plan B, C, D, E. Like Scales, like I don't know what everybody else felt today, but when there were corners coming in and crosses coming in, I never felt like we were going to score for a corner or a cross.
No. Brian makes a good point there, Mark. The line shot there. Mickey Johnson's been out injured for months. Right, gets game time on a plastic pitch, and Scales is probably fitter and doesn't even get a sniff. Like, I mean, that's gone. I don't know, Mark. I'm just saying it here, like, and I think there is something there, Mark, that Kennedy's maybe saying something to Ange about these players. Now, it has to be, Mark. It has to be, like, because if you're Ange's system, Mark, and stuff like that, you bring on your new players to see what your new players can do, surely. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know, Paul. I know you've just got a bean.
Well, no, I'm not. It's not an opinion about Kennedy, but it's the same. But you've seen these substitutions last season. Do you know what I mean?
Finish. You never mention John Kennedy when things are going well or when Celtic win.
I told you if things go bad, as I would.
That is anything that goes bad at Celtic, that's you blame John Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
You're bullying him. You're
But what I said,
cyberbullying the guy, Paul.
mm-hmm. He listened to Kennedy and Strachan about the plastic pitch because he said he didn't have experience on playing on plastics pitch. There's quotes from Ange.
It's a bit of a weird thing to come up with as well, but into it, I mean, I know it's a different surface, but football's still football. Into it, it's a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he could have meant with that. I'm
I
really
don't know.
it's a
But like,
strange
did
thing.
he ever play in a plastic pitch, Mark, over in Japan? Like, as he said there, like, and I think, Mike, you watch a lot of football as well across the world and stuff that, and Jonas would know, like, and stuff like that as well. There's not many plastic pitches in a top level league around the world, is there?
It's Scandinavia and that's got a lot, but the reason that they've not got it because they use it to rent out and that, they've literally got to because their winters are 9 months long.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the clubs in the top divisions have all got plastic pitches, but that's just purely because they can't hay grass. Well, the fact I personally believe in a professional football there shouldn't be any plastic pitches at all. I think it's a disgrace, but Celtic never got beat today because of a plastic pitch. They got beat because it was pish, and that's it. And let's be honest.
Oh no,
and it wasn't
I totally agree with you, Mikey. You can't use your pitch as an excuse.
I mean, like both teams are playing on it. It's a dire. I'm not saying it's not a dire pitch. I'm just saying that Celtic were dire the day. You know what I mean, what's happened to Sorrow, by the way? Even like when he came on, they sometimes passing and everything and that. Has he got to blast the ball into everybody as well? By the way, he takes people's feet off when he puts the ball into them. It was just like says like I don't know. I could have obviously I don't know if anybody watched the Dundee Derby today on the TV or that, but the guy in the middle of the pitch that I mentioned at the start of the year, that is Jean Fuchs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time that I've seen him live like the day. What a player he is. I'm telling you, like now I understand how he's in the Cameroon team and that. What a player he is in the middle of the pitch. Celtic surely have got to be scouting that guy. And the boy Kerr Smith as well, the 16-year-old that we were talking about. He started at right back today when he's a centre back. He came off injured. What a player he is. That's him. I understand now why Man United and that are all wanting him. He's only just turned 16, but what a player he is.
That the first guy you mentioned, that Fuchs, Mikey.
Yeah.
And before I watched that game, and I said to you about him when we were talking on the phone. I thought, aye, he's a cracking player, him.
And it was good seeing well where I was like Charlie Mulgrew that day, like the tackle that he made in the last minute. I mean, Celtic could have did with him, brought him in for a season,
Who would have done a turn for us this year? He probably
would have. He's still good. Like at 35, I know, like some of the tackles he put in the day and that, like honestly, like I said, it was just good to see a live game of football. But obviously, I'm sitting there as a board, like obviously, it was Man United win for Jonas and that, but it didn't really make much difference to me. Came I won. I was hoping Griffiths and maybe got a goal as well, but just watching, like say something like it was just like that Fuchs in the middle of the pitch, like he's even better than what I thought he was. Like he got man of the match in that the day. But yeah, I don't know if anybody else in the chat watched that game today, but wasn't it the greatest game football wise? But
I stream it on the lap. But that, I mean, we're talking about signing guys like that, Lewis Ferguson. That Fuchs, he'd cost a lot less than probably Lewis Ferguson would.
I'm just going on just watching the guy. Obviously, I've seen Fuchs more than Ferguson really only because obviously I watched the games with Jonas and that. If I was to pick out the two, I'd go with the wee guy Fuchs. But maybe a lot of the guys would go with it. Again, it's all about opinions. And he would cost a hell of a lot. Well, he's in the last year of his contract as well.
Jesus.
United only gave him a 2-year deal, so this is him in his last year.
It's something we're keeping an eye on. He would, for what I've seen, feel make him a good addition to the squad, definitely.
He was a surprise when he signed for United with his pedigree he had even at a young age. But he's obviously went there to get his career back, even though he's only young. He's only 22.
Like a stepping stone kind of a thing, Mikey, was it? Like just
It's
again.
probably, like we talked about before with Jonas, and we'll probably get you'll probably want Jonas on again soon. And he'll
Yeah.
there. But like United just now, like he says, I've been that's the first time I've been back there in years. Well, a few years now. And the stadium's in an uplift. They like unveiled the statue of Jim McLean last night and that.
Twitter.
So that, and they're just a club that's they're going to.
You're on the right.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, like we've talked about it, Mark. Like he says, like he says, obviously back in it was the 80s, and that was Jim McLean, that was Davy Neri, and that.
Aye.
It's just good. It's good, like he says. Obviously, me living here for the last 34 years now, it's good to see the club back. And it's just, like I say, it's just good to. It was just good today, like you say, just to get to a game of football, like you say, and just watch it. But I mean, there's a bit of a problem because Jonas is.
Like me with Aki's, Mikey, I like to see Aki's doing well just because they're my local team, but again, you're just the way everybody used to slag them off about their pitch and that. I felt the exact same way that way, but I used to enjoy Aki's, do you know what I mean, doing well at being in the Premier League and that, so.
Like,
It's good for it gives a kind of full place a bit of a lift when the football team is doing well.
Again, like he says, obviously we'll want to go back to Celtic, but just before we get back to that, Griffiths is in for a world of pain this year, like
I have to imagine
like,
it will be.
I mean, like I wasn't too happy with some of the chanting in that today, but I can obviously
was it bad, Mickey, was it? Yeah.
Well, you can what chance, like he says, if people watched again, it was obvious what was going to happen, like regarding the chants, and some of them I thought was a bit much, but I was maybe just because it was a derby and that was it. But I think that's going to Griffiths. I'll need to be mentally strong this year, like with some of the stuff that's been doing come each year. Like he looked a bit overweight today, if I'm being honest. Like playing up front today, like he never really touched the bar much in that. He missed the set up for 6 years. He looked a bit heavy to me, like
Looked a bit chubby.
So, like I said, hopefully, like I said, obviously he's left Celtic and that now, and he'll probably never be back because he's in his last year. But I still hope that he has a good year. I still like the guy. Yeah, I think he's still a good player. So hopefully, like he says, he still does well for Dundee. Yeah, but he'll need to lost at least half a stone. I think maybe more.
Before we leave the disappointment of today and move on to the new Celtic company secretary, Mike, you said there that you're only as good as your last game, and the table doesn't lie. Celtic are line 6. We only have 9 points out of 6 games. We played 3, we lost 3. If results don't improve, when can you see maybe Celtic fans, as you said, Aberdeen fans are turning on glass already? When can you see the Celtic fans maybe turning on Ange if results don't improve?
I don't think he's like he says. People might think there's got to be the next 4 games are crucial. Like I would say, like I don't think any more than that. I don't think what anybody else is feeling in that, like. But like he says, well bet for Hearts. I still think we were well. I don't care about the stats. I still think we were well bet today. Rangers, again, that could have went either way, but again, still bet for you.
So let's look at the matches. Look, we have the quarter-final of the Scottish League Cup against Red Rovers this Thursday. Then we have Dundee United at home. We've Leverkusen away at home. Then we've Aberdeen. Then we've Motherwell away. Like there's 2 tough away games in there, and considering we haven't won in February, Mark, like there's tough games still coming up in the league, because there is tough games this year in the league. Considering we've likes of Hearts Spark, you've Aberdeen still there, you've Dundee United there. Like the way Mickey's saying, Mark, against Dundee United, like it's not going to be an easy game either, I think.
No, there's some tough games here, but hopefully we get players coming back, Paul. We can, excuse me, we can get our first choice team on the park.
I think Callum's going to be back by Thursday, going by Andrew's reports that he might go.
On Callum McGregor, I'm just glad now people, because there's obviously some Celtic sports that are like, oh, I want him sell and he's not as good as whatever he thinks and this, that, and next. I'm just glad it's quite evident in the last 2 games, especially how good he is. Like how I can't like Kyogo.
Okay, we've spoken about that before. McGregor could play for any team, anywhere.
I agree. Like I said, I think he is that good. Then Kyogo, massive miss, but McGregor in the middle of the pitch.
I think if McGregor comes back into this team, that McCarthy still needs to play there with him, and maybe Turnell or Roderick needs to come up. But I think we need McGregor in a more advanced role, to bring a bit of knowledge to, do you know what I mean, to that, because the Turnell's just not doing it for me at the moment. I don't know what it is with him. He's just not doing it for me at the moment.
I'd love to see that Kyogo and Giacomakis up top together.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you're going to play the 4-3-3, and maybe Kyogo they're going to keep on the left in that, but Turnbull and Roderick, you didn't need the bit of them. I'd rather have Giacomakis on or something.
Definitely, because like when McGregor comes in, Mark, do we see maybe McCarthy slipping back out, McGregor into that deeper? I would hope not. I would hope that maybe it's Roderick or Turnbull made to come out to see what McGregor can do up front. It maybe change Ange's mind that he needs McGregor up there, don't you? Do you know?
Well, McCarthy, I said it earlier, Paul. For me, it's got to be McCarthy, McGregor, and either or Turnbull.
Yeah.
But see what Mikey's saying there as well. I don't fancy Kyogo in the left, Mikey. I don't.
Yeah, I just think he just seems to be putting him there though.
And I've said that. I don't know if you were maybe no well on that. I mean, Barry
Play behind him.
talk about it. See, like playing like Kyogo, like your number 10 kind of role.
Mm-hmm.
I would put him in there, as you say, with Big Jack up front.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's because you've got that Jota and Abada. Abada's been pretty pish, I think, the last few games.
I've noticed about myself, and Mark was saying it, like Abada recently, Michael seems to be cutting in a lot. He doesn't seem to be running to the. No, do you think maybe, Mark, that is because there's a lack of movement in the box at the moment? Abada knows if he crosses, there's not going to be no one in there.
I don't know, Paul.
Because we saw that today.
No,
crosses going into the box, there was no one in there. Do you know?
For me, that's the manager's plan. If he's coming inside, for me, that's Ange just tell him to do that.
Yeah, maybe Ange knows that we have a lack of forward players. Like the system really, I would say the system, but the way we play has really changed since Kyogo's came out of that team. There's no space there. You say that the team is moving around. Do you know what I mean? There's no movement. Like we run about rotating, Mark. Do you know what I mean? Kyogo could be on the right, Ababa could be in the centre. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Pin, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Everything was up in that final third was going through Kyogo.
Yeah. No.
Team that just
too narrow or something, Mark. Is it too narrow? I think.
We're saying there earlier on about the amount of passing sideways and this and back for it. See, when Kyogo was in the team, he was making these runs with
run space. Yeah.
They were trying to find Tim with the runs, or he was making space for other people to
other teams. Yeah.
I think it's just even Kyogo. That's not really. I mean, it's a big to put on a player that's only been here for a couple of months.
But he's a big loss, Mark, isn't he?
He's been a massive loss to the full kind of system of Ange ball.
Yeah, he was. That's it, Mark. He's the key. Like you said, to Ange ball. Kyogo was the key to that working, I think. You know what I mean? You know, and soon he comes back, hopefully, the better. But look, we're moving on. And of course, the Celtic appointed new company secretary there. Chris Duffy has been appointed with Nicholson acting as a CEO. Now, a few names have been rumored, Mark. There's been Roman Varga has been linked to it. There's been Desmond's two sons have been linked to it. But the question please to put out, Mark, should the new CEO come out now and say something about the club, the direction that he has plans for that this short term, or what does he do?
The thing with this is it. What's the guy's name that's got appointed? Paul Secretary. Somebody.
Chris Duffy.
The thing about him, again, Paul, I'm not great.
He worked with Nicholson, did he, in that department, didn't he?
I don't know how things go with how you need to have people in place in certain positions to be like a company, if you know what I mean. But I thought it was weird that we've brought in somebody to replace Nicholson.
Mm-hmm. That means that's the question mark, isn't it?
It means for me, at least the short to middle term, Paul, I think Nicholson's going to be doing the CEO job, so surely he's got to come out and address the fans in some cap. I'm not meaning this to anything to do because we get beat the day. This is nothing to do with that, but surely he's got to come out and address what's went on. No, I'm not going to.
Fans want to know, Mark. Like, what's the plans? Like, have all these questions that.
Okay, but come in and give us an update. Right,
yeah.
Dominic's left, blah blah. Like, just to the party line. Dominic's left for personal reasons. That we're not willing to discuss whatever. This is some of the changes that we're implementing. Dom had
Yeah.
started this as he's found out we're redeveloping Barrafield, and just give the fans like a bit of an idea of what the club's actually planning, what the way you going forward. Because we all thought it was going to be a kind of long-term deal with Mackay.
Hmm.
Nicholson's in, and as I'm saying, I think it's only going to be a short to middle term appointment. But even if it isn't, what is the short to middle term?
Because, Mark, that's the big thing. Like, you have to show these changes to the company board or something like not the company board, Mark, the stock exchange.
You need to make.
Yes.
So
So
maybe you can no have a company secretary, so they just do you get what I mean? They've just
yeah,
been ticking boxes. Paul could have
ticking boxes like so. There's big questions there, Mark. Like we don't know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Like as you said there, Mike, I get you coming as well because you've been away since Dominic Mackay left, and it was a bit of a shock to kind of everyone when he left because when he came in, Mark, we were promised everything. We were promised there'd be changes in different departments. We were promised like we did look at the youth section. I know Gordon Strachan was at the match during the week. Gordon Strachan was actually there.
well, that doing that job now, Paul, for 5 weeks.
Yeah, so like we want to know, Mark, what changes are there. Do you mean what's coming? What's the plans? Or do we have new plans? Or come up and tell us what's going on because they're on about saying the Celtic board will come up and say, Mark, protest, there's no need for them and stuff like that. And you wonder why there's protest then, Mark, by the likes of Janet Fenning and Hall Group and the Green Brigade. That's why there's protest, Mark, because we don't know what's happening behind the club. We don't know what's going on, and we don't know what direction Nicholson wants this club to go at the moment. What are the I think that's the main concern, is it?
You're saying you don't know what direction Nicholson wants the club to go in. Let's face it, Paul, it's what direction Dermot
Desmond
wants the club to go in.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's time that, especially
someone from the
for actual fact that it has changed that Mackay's left and there's a new CEO, just come out and speak to the fans and let them know. And just in general, that things are ticking out. At least tell us things are ticking out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Something.
business as usual or something like that. Mikey, what was your take on all that? Because I know you've been away with us for a while, but it was a bit of a shock, wasn't it?
Well, if I've been honest, and I didn't want to keep going on about how I was to not on the board people. Mark's already heard that that's over the last few weeks. But see, if I'm being brutally honest, see, other than the push notification from Sky Sports saying that Dominic Mackay's left, I can absolutely nothing. And it even came out how he's left, or was it just rumours?
I saw gossip and rumours in that.
It was very, very when I read it, I thought I was just seeing things when I was that ill, but I couldn't just when you think you're getting a bit of structure and heading in the right direction, and I mean maybe that'll probably not help the club morale either, will it? Like that kind of thing being dropped, and people say, well, he's got nothing to do with the playing staff or that, but we were talking about at the start of the year, you've got to be structurally good from top to bottom, eh? That can't be good for the club either, like it says, like being in turmoil like that. What is it? Well, how long was you in the job? 5-6 weeks?
72 days.
And I mean, we've spoke about this as well, Mikey, when you were off, but the thing about it with me was the process Celtic went through to appoint him. Why?
Yeah, it was a long one, yeah.
Flagged up that him and Dermot Desmond didn't go on. It wasn't up to the job. Why was it not flagged up long before he was actually in the job for 72 days?
He didn't like it.
Crazy, bizarre situation.
Because I'm not obviously comparing Scotland rugby to Celtic and that, but I mean, it's not like he was in a small wee job, eh? He had a massive job within the Scottish rugby, eh?
Aye.
So I think there's obviously more to meet the eye, and obviously it'll be the same as. We'll probably never ever find out the reasons, but like you say, I've seen there, I think Paul said there, and I read that as well, Ramon Vega. I think he is well sought after, is he?
He works in that kind of field now, mate.
He works in that business, and he was.
He's really clever, eh?
It sounds a bit far. See when you first kind of see the headline, Ramon Vega wants Celtic CEO job. It sounds a bit far fetched, but when you look into it,
he's been because he's been working. across kind of roles in UEFA and everything, on kind of directive roles there and stuff like that. So, and plus, like, there's already a connection between himself and Desmond as well, Mark, with his son being involved in the youth system. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
You know?
As I spoke about before, look who's running Ajax.
Van der Sar, yeah.
Der Sar's I don't. He's like he's the chief executive in Overmars. He's in charge of He's like
Mm-hmm.
a footballer. I mean, the guy played it right, fair enough. He's
They're football men, Mark, making football decisions, and that's why I think. If you're not about Roman Varga, Mark, he'd be a football man making football decisions for the football. Do you know what I mean?
But what I'm saying is, Paul, you can't imagine. Like Van der Sar's in charge running Ajax, basically. You can't imagine Arthur Boric coming back to run Celtic.
Jesus Christ, every Rangers fan be banned from Parkhead, wouldn't they?
Yeah, Rab Douglas or somebody like that. It's just, when you just see the name, you think, oh, I mean, he does run in Vega. It seems a kind of good fit for the kind of job.
Especially when he knows the club as well, Mark. Do you know what I mean? He's played for the club, and he obviously still has a connection. Like I said there, but his young son still playing there now and doing very well, from what I hear on the lads on the forum. You know, so like there's still questions to really be answered. Just going by what Mickey said there, Mark, do you think maybe that could have hit morale around Ange and his coaching staff, and the first thing that board level still in turmoil at the moment?
I don't know if it would affect it as such, but well, anything negative obviously has got like a
It does, yeah.
effect on
A negative atmosphere, Mark, would have a negative effect around
and even
something like, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, even like some of the players that have just come in, it maybe not affect them, but they maybe sat there and thought to themselves, that's a bit weird, man. Because obviously it's my kid
Like,
done the, it's
yeah, I signed for McKay because of his vision, or, do you know, where he wants the club to go with Ange or something like that, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
but even
You know?
young, I mean, like a young foreign lad coming in and then, oh wait a minute, that guy's away after only 6 weeks or that. What's going on here? I mean,
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I don't think it got any great effect, but the players will probably sit and say, oh, there's something no right somewhere. Somebody's peed somebody off.
Mike,
I
can you
would
come in
say
there?
it's, something like you say to
Jeez,
leave
but
after five.
you really have. I know you had COVID, but geez, but you really were isolated, but
Yeah, like five
Jeez.
to 6 weeks.
Jesus,
in a
man.
job that's like there's something seriously wrong there. Like, I think I read someplace. It was what was it? Family, personal reasons, is it?
That's what they said, Mikey. And everybody kind of get the impression
Some was sick or something like that, Mark, weren't they?
an illness that maybe him or his wife or someone were sick, and that was one. But things were kind of sneaked out and drip fed to like all the wee kind of pet poodles in the media and things like that. And it kind of became for me, it was him and Dermot Desmond just clashed. Didn't seem to go on. I don't think Dermot Desmond thought he was up to the job.
I just hope that Dermot Desmond isn't holding the club back. Was that Mackay maybe too forward thinking for his liking?
Well,
So some people say that Celtic want the kind of rules that were coming out was that the likes of Ian Banker, David Desmond, and even Peter Lord came into the question mark, that they weren't happy with the vision that Dominic Mackay was recommended. That
he must have told them this vision months ago. But Paul, the real point is, when we said on the Celtic hired this big fancy recruitment company, headhunting executives kind of mob, and they sorted through. Do you get what I mean? They found them basically. I mean, it's not key. Imagine how many interviews they had to get that job. How many even having a meal with Dermot Desmond and Peter Law and things like that he went through to get that job, and so he must have spoke about his vision.
I think he rubbed up someone Mark the wrong way, definitely.
Yeah, what you said, Paul, there about Ramon Vega's son. Is it no Rudy Vata's son that plays for Celtic?
Oh, sorry.
Vata.
Yeah.
Ramon Vega.
Like I know. I got mixed up.
No, but I'm just going on to like Vega, and I agree with what Rob says there. Like he has meant to be a big ego, but I couldn't really give a toss about his ego if he does the job right. Go on.
some need to have some size of ego to be bigger than Peter Lawwell.
Maybe that would be another clash though. Eh?
That was another thing that was about Mike. We were
He
talking.
clashed Peter Lawwell, yeah.
No, it was a case of. It was even. I think it was even.
He didn't,
one
he
paper.
didn't ask him for advice or something like that, Mark, wasn't it? Yeah.
Imagine having somebody with the knowledge. It was basically Mackay was told Peter Lawwell's at the end of the phone if you need any advice on anything, and he says, "All right, thanks very much," and then never phoned Peter Lawwell.
Oh, that's.
And that's meant to. That was one of the kind of wee snippets that was sneaked out. So I don't. I mean, you just says, Mikey, we'll probably never find out the actual 100% truth, but it really is. But it's amateurish, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
That amateurish.
you can't compare obviously rugby, football, different ways of thinking that, but Scottish rugby is in the best it's been in the last 20 years. When
That's down to Mackay.
a lot of that's down to, like he says, and like he says, I didn't watch rugby or that. I watched maybe the odd Six Nation game when they're playing against Sunderland and that. I can only go on the way they've been playing and results and that, and they're in the best place they've been in the last 20 years. And like he says, he's been running the show for how long there before he came to Celtic? A good few years anyway. So he's obviously did something right there. So, and like what you
look at rugby from the outside now, you're looking at rugby now between football as a whole. You would say rugby is more professional because they have these caps on wage limits and everything, Mark. Like there's no player that's going to be on extra new wages either. You know, like you see football, they're like 100 million for Grealish. There, it's just ridiculous money. Like, you know, football is coming into a money market now. You know what I mean? Just to buy an average player for 100 million is ridiculous. Like,
we need to get somebody in quick to replace Mackay. Yeah, obviously I'm not wanting them to jump into something that's just a quick fix, but like it says, they surely got. Again, it's getting back to this again. You surely need to hear plan B and C for it if it wasn't going to work out.
Yeah, I think that's what you're trying to say, Mark. Isn't it? What to come out and say what's going on? Or are we looking for a new CEO? Is Nicholson going to be the new CEO? Give us some clarity of what's kind of going on behind the club, isn't it? You know.
That's what I'm saying, Paul. That's just well, Mackay was out giving interviews in that TAFE, like fan media, and yet Nicholson's what's that 2 weeks maybe or something like that, and he's not even done an interview in the press or for Celtic TV or nothing. I mean, just again we known about for months, Paul. He's like a director of football, head of recruitment. Are we any further forward getting these appointments made and things like that?
But obviously, Mark.
Well, that was one of the things as well, Paul. Ange always said, we'll wait till transfer window shut and then we'll look at everything else. And that seemed to be, was it then when they started looking at other things at Mackay and the vision?
The data analyst and stuff like that, yeah.
The vision didn't fit in. It's again something that's just crazy. And we don't know if we're even looking for it.
Because Mark, if you're looking at that, right, and if you say Ange had an ally in Dominic Mackay, and Dominic Mackay saw Ange's vision for what you're saying there, they went down the route of looking at different departments. Like we know they were looking for the data analyst, Mark, that was looking at data on players and stuff like that, and maybe director of football. But if Ange doesn't get the backing of this Celtic board, who maybe, I thought maybe that didn't back Dominic Mackay's vision, surely you can't say you be safe to say, Mark, that Ange would walk as well if they don't back him or if they don't see his way of doing things.
Well, the actual the actual impression I got, Paul, was that Dermot Desmond wasn't impressed enough with what Mackay was planning.
Amateurish, Mark. That's what I got. Yeah, it was amateurish, wasn't it?
I think that just again, take your judgment out of gossip, rumours, and wee snippets you read. It was that Dermot Desmond was expecting more from Mackay. So I think that can only be a good thing for Ange, to be honest.
And Ange said as well that he's been working a lot with Nicholson. These are just, and that he knows Nicholson very well. He's worked a lot with him. So do you think maybe Nicholson and Dermot Desmond had a more influence role with Ange than Dominic Mackay did? You know, because that's what we're looking at. That Dominic Mackay was amateurish, Mark. Do you know what I mean? Like that seems to be the rumour that hung around, that he was amateurish, that he wasn't up to scratch, and then Celtic were going, well, that's not going to work here. We don't do that. You know, that's what kind of kind of came out, didn't it? You know.
It didn't impress Dermot Desmond, and I think it seems that Dermot Desmond kind of got the impression that he thought the job was going to be too big for him. He's just plans. But right, we're saying the dance is that like him lost his ally, but if Dermot Desmond's turned around and it has said, look, I don't know, that's I'm looking for something more than that, I'm looking for better than that. That's only going to work out well for the actual football side of things, Paul.
Mhm. Mhm. Lads, I think we leave it from there. Mikey, you've been away for a long time. If there's anything else you want to come in and state?
I'm starting to get tired now. TV still. I got what I did like the other day was when I played back the podcast and Mark was letting everybody kind of about my fancy Mercedes. That was nice. I'm like, yeah. even my mum and that was laughing at that. Like, yeah.
Did you actually get a Mercedes? Did you?
It's a wee belt table.
I got it. Finally, yeah.
Talking about treating yourself when you're sick, huh?
Oh, to come up, this is the God's honest truth, right?
His wife bought him it because she felt sorry for a wee special soul.
God love
So I was stuck in the house. Obviously, Alan, I was just bored scrolling through my phone on the net and that. And no word of a lie, I actually bought the car whilst totally bedridden and never even told my missus or anything until the day I needed to go and pick it up. And she a bit killed me.
Yeah, the dog comes down, Mikey, straight away. They're like, oh, Jesus Christ, like the joys of married life. Not telling the wife that you bought something out of the budget, like Jesus Christ. Mark, do you want to close the show up?
Just thanks very much for everything, Paul. Brilliant to see you get you back on the podcast as well, Mikey. Thanks for coming on. Thanks to all the lads in the live chat have joined us. Hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up button, and if you know how, please leave a comment. Hail, hail, good night, and God bless.